to the Berea podcast. This is Troy.
And this is Della.
And we've got a special in-studio guest here, Jeffrey Carpenter.
Hello.
The program manager at the 123 Artist Accelerator program here in Berea. We wanted to bring you in and get inside scoop on the past week.
It's been crazy.
I'm sure
Absolutely.
It has. But let's go chronologically. How does that sound?
Okay.
Your experience here in Berea, and then talk about the last week.
Sure.
Okay. What brings you to Berea?
Well, I'm a 1987 graduate of Berea College.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
surprise.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a degree in business administration with a minor in home economics. And when I graduated, I moved to Maine for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And then my father recently died a couple of years ago. My family wanted me moving closer down south again. And I said, well, I loved Berea when I was here, and I think I want to go back. So I came back 2 years ago and became a VISTA, Volunteers in Service to America.
Sure.
And I served in the finance department of Partners for Education in Berea College.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
I worked on risk management, and I worked with a new software program they were going to institute with contracts and purchase orders called Agiloft. And I developed and trained staff on those two items for the first year. Then I was rehired a second year as the VISTA leader. And that gave me the capacity of working with about 25 members of the VISTA team that serve Partners for Education and in Eastern Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And I became their leader. And then this job opportunity came about. And when I looked at the job description, I have mastered everything that was on that job description. And I knew in September my service would be finished. And I knew I'd probably need interviewing skills, better interviewing skills. So,
because how long had it been since you'd actually interviewed?
Well, I did a phone interview to get the college job, but it's been years because I've been pretty stable with long-term employment.
Yes.
And things have changed.
Yes.
I mean, laptops have come about, cell phones have come about.
Right.
I'm not that old, but anyway.
It's like dating, right? Like if you've been in a long-term relationship and then suddenly it's like, I don't remember how to do that anymore.
Right,
exactly.
It's
all
things
different.
and the game changes
Yes,
all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just figured out, I'd go, and they gave me an interview, and I said, well, I'll master my interview skills, see what kind of questions they're asking these days. The interview was the best interview I've ever had in my life, and I left there thinking, oh, I would love that opportunity. It's everything I've ever wanted. All my passions are in one box. Mm-hmm. And I just said, I probably won't get it. It'll probably be very competitive. But at least I had a great interview, and I felt pleased with that, looking forward. And then they called me and offered me the position, and I was thrilled.
And the position of program manager at 123 Arts Accelerator.
Yes. And then I realized I had to give up my weekend job at Michael's stores. I worked there in Richmond for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Apparently I have a huge fan following, and I do children's classes. And my boss was pretty, he was like, I'm not taking you off the books until Christmas because there's people that love you and you need to come back occasionally. So hopefully that that's what he said. But then I had to give my resignation to the Partners for Education, which I loved. It was life-changing. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And it was very difficult to do that. It made me almost physically ill because I just love the people I work with up there. Mm-hmm. And they're doing so many important things with fighting poverty and providing educational opportunities for everyone. Mm-hmm. And but I did, and they were very, very supportive and very excited because they recognized my creativity really early on and my passion for the arts and crafts and supplying free things for the staff. I'd make free earrings for the women. I made free greeting cards. I did framed photography for them. Just as little gifts. That's the way I am.
Mm-hmm. So you had a fan base there, too.
Yes. So, and then the fire.
Okay. Well, sure. So when was your start date to be?
May 1st, the day after the fire. I had been working on the little committee, the hiring committee, or the approval committee for the new fellows that are coming in July 1st.
Okay.
And we have 4 of them coming, and we had to sift through all of the applicants. And we did that the prior week before.
Okay.
I did it all, as pro bono to help because they were going to be involved in my life a lot, and I'm going to be involved in theirs. I want to make sure that the compatibility issues were there, and the possibility of who we choose was a greater possibility. So the night of April 30th, Monday, we're interviewing. We've had our first round of interviews on Friday, and then we were interviewing our second round of interviews on Monday. And we had gone through 3 interviews, and we were on our 4th one when the 3rd interview person came in and said, "Your building's on fire." And we sort of like...
Where were you? In
we
the
were
building?
in the Broadway Center having our interviews in the conference room. And it was, what?
Well, who was in the room? Who was actually doing it?
Ahmed Reynolds, Cheryl Stone, Carrie Hensley, and myself.
Wow.
And a young man who was being interviewed.
That would change your interview.
It would change your interview, and I didn't panic. Of course, when I saw the fire, gracious.
Oh, yeah, the flames coming out of the top,
flames
right?
Of black twirls of smoke. It looked like Dorothy was going to be flying out of that building at any time. And it was devastating. I saw the look on Carrie Hensley's face. Ahmed Reynolds was there too. Sorry, but it was.
You said that. You said
did
that.
I? Okay, good. But Carrie, her face just looked crushed. And let me tell you, the professionalism and the expertise of the Berea firefighters, the first responder, the medical people, and the police, it was miraculous that I would say 80% of the materials in that building were salvaged. Yeah. It was absolutely amazing, astonishing me. Because I had gone the Saturday before the interview process to check out the space and try to figure out design in my head. But going in there and looking at the building and sort of like photographing in my head what was there. After the fire was out and the police and the firemen were bringing things out, I was stunned because I knew where these items were in the building. Like, they're not damaged. They're not wet. Right. I couldn't understand it. The cash register came out. The credit card machine came out. Nothing was wrong with them.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's so great.
I mean,
that is just the
Bob Berger, the great watercolorist that
Right.
shared our space, he salvaged everything.
100%.
Nothing was damaged with his part of the building.
So great.
Well, where did the water go? Because I was here as they were like...
There are sections apparently in the building. I haven't been in the building yet.
Okay.
But there are sections where it went, and that's where the damage was. But you know how water flows, and all flows converges together.
Gotcha.
Whatever was under the falls of that area where that water had fallen with gravity is where the damages were.
And that must have been in the back of the building.
It was in the back central part of the building.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Wow, that's just
miracle. Absolutely.
That's a miracle.
Yes. It was it's miraculous.
And so what I've heard, and confirm if you can, that like the fire was pretty much contained between the roofs or in the roofs.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
I can't really speculate because the investigation's not over yet.
Sure.
But the way the roof system was built, there was one roof level, and then they had replaced or put another roof on top of it. So I want to say there's 3 to 5 feet of space.
Okay.
And apparently, because the top roof was tar and the shingles, that's what caught on fire first. So it burned from that level. So it didn't get down to the lower level to burn completely to get down into the lower part. Okay. But also, it's a concrete building too. So it wouldn't. It's a lot of water and smoke damage, but not a flammable issue.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
My goodness. So that was April 30th.
That was
and
April
nobody
30th.
was hurt. Just
nobody was hurt.
Which we knew.
Yes,
nobody
goodness.
was hurt.
The gallery was closed. The young lady that was working there that day had already left, and thank goodness nobody was there. And Bob wasn't there, so that was good. So the building was empty when it happened, and it started from the back outside of the building. Apparently, that's all I know.
Gotcha. And what I'll reiterate what you just said is you know there's a science to firefighting, and there's great risk personally to the firefighter. But they were carrying out those pieces of art with such care, and such concern, and that was so refreshing to see. There, I'm sure there were pictures taken because there was a crowd.
Yes, there was a crowd. Yes,
there could not be enough pictures of the total support that those first responders really gave.
I was very proud of this community and their training and the hard work and the dedication that these people have that are instilled in them somehow, whether it's through nurture or nature, of all first responders. I mean, I've consistently seen it throughout my lifetime. There's a special group of people that can handle those kind of situations. And this town has a very professional and loyal and dedicated group of men and women who do that on a regular basis to protect and serve our town. And we're very fortunate.
Absolutely, yes. So the fire was mid-evening on April 30th. Yes. You get the mantle of program manager at midnight on a few hours later.
Right.
Tell us about what's happened since then.
Well, at the time this was happening, there was a lot of confusion. There were concerns about the safety of the rescue workers and the staff. And my thoughts were, what am I going to do tomorrow? Didn't come into play until after the fire was out and I saw all the things that were saved. And I went home and sort of went to bed and texted my mother and said, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared to death because I've already resigned my positions and I no longer work there. And I've never been jobless in my whole life. I've always had something to flow into. And I was very nervous about what would happen Tuesday. And finally, Tuesday came and they asked me to come in at 1 o'clock. I did my paperwork for the city that morning. My mother said, just do what you were told to do. Direction will come. Keep it in your prayers. I'm praying for you. This will happen. And I said,
what wonderful words.
Oh, yes. She was like, just, I believe in it. And she said, just do it. So I said, okay. And so they asked me to come at 1 o'clock and I started my day. I got a little station at the little dining room table that's down in the depot.
Okay.
And it was a great space. I was bragging. I took pictures for my Facebook and I said, look at the cool space I get to work in today. I'm very excited. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow, but I'm very excited about today. So then we decided to have a meeting with the executive committee and decide what was next. We had some few buildings we were looking at in the city as alternatives for space. And then since the city owns the toll building and it's going to be refabricated for the tourism offices, they said, well, let's use that space because that way we don't have to pay rent for now and it will save some money for the city. And let's just use it and get it started. So by the time the tourism group comes in there, something's already been established there. So, and I said, I want to be open by Saturday. And they all looked like deer in headlights.
Because this is like, middle of the week?
Yes, this is late Wednesday.
Wow.
So I had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to meet the fellows, which I've only met one of them before because she shopped at Michael's. Then I had to get them on board, say, this is what's going to happen, this is my plan. They're not used with direct supervision. They're pretty free, but they were so lost because of the fire, not sure of their own futures. They were looking for someone to come in and provide that direction and the ideas that I had.
And there you were.
And there I were. That was my setup, which was great.
Had there been a program manager before you?
No, I'm the first one.
I think that position is good. Like identifying the need for that position, like who sort of orchestrates stuff, right? Like is clear. So that's great. Right. So I think just wonderful.
And the new ideas, my experiences of living and working in the art communities of all the major cities, things that work, things that don't work that I've seen. I hope to take all of those innovations and implement them on a scale that's best suited for Berea. That's my long-term goal for this. And when they heard that vision right away, they were excited. And they said, we're in good hands. I think we can do this. They worked really hard. Jawan, Stephanie, and Sarah are the current fellows. And they worked very, very hard clearing out the space, moving furniture. And I also want to mention some great volunteers, too, that came in. And I planned the space in a matter of 30 minutes. I had a vision of where I wanted different things in the rooms and presented that plan to Carrie. And she said, go for it. And I did. Danny Isaacs came by. I showed him what I was going to do. I also showed Ahmed Reynolds what I was going to do. He was very pleased with the ideas. And I implemented them with the help of Martina LaForce. There was Ethan Connolly. There were some young men, and I wish I had brought the business card, but there were some young men from Mount Vernon who came up and with a horse carriage, a trailer with a truck, and did 3 huge loads from the old building up to the new building. And those boys unloaded it in that heat all day long. There must have been a couple tons worth of things there. They worked very, very hard. And David Bellinaire from Partners for Education came and helped us move the last set of desks. I did invite the Madison Central baseball team up to do it for us. It would have been a good workout day for them and would have taken it 10 minutes for us to get everything moved. But I have a feeling I want to ask them again for something. But I have a few friends that are parents of baseball players and one of the baseball players. So I thought it was great because I always saw success when I lived in Maine of incorporating the sports people with the arty creative people and bringing them together. Then I ended up getting sports kids into theater programs they'd never thought about because they saw the passion of the kids that were in those programs. And it was great to see the merging of the quarterback of the football team in the high school become the lead in Romeo and Juliet. So, he never, ever imagined that would happen to him. So I hope to create those connections and those liaisons with each other in this town. That's one of the long-term goals I have too.
Awesome. So you had volunteers. You had stuff that was free of fire and water damage.
Yes.
And you had a place that you were moving it into. You put up an audacious goal of being open on Saturday. Were you?
Yes. And it was successful.
Tell us more.
Well, it was so exciting. We had about 67 people come in on Saturday. We had people from North Carolina, Ohio, and Illinois come in. I didn't know them at all. Had a lot of friends that came through, and a lot of friends of the fellows came through. And, dollar amounts, I don't know if I'm allowed to give dollar amounts, but we sold spent $600 before taxes of art yesterday in one day.
Wow.
Yes, and the kids were very excited, and Dwan sold his very first painting from the program yesterday.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
I was so happy for him.
Very first.
I know him.
I was so ecstatic for him.
Yeah, we do. We went through a program together with the
Evolve.
Yeah, the Evolve. I'm sorry.
Air Evolve.
Yes.
Air Evolve. He and I went through that program together, and I'm just very happy for him.
It was very exciting. He was just glowing the whole day. He was so excited. And ironically, it was a painting of Asia, who works in the tourism department, of her reclining on a couch. So, and I heard rumors that her mother was going to be very upset because her mother wanted that painting. But it is in a home of a Berean, a local Berean, and that's what this purpose of this program is for, is to get some Bereans in here to buy the art and experience the art and to hang it in their homes or utilize it with the ceramics and things like that. So I'm hoping that trend continues after what happened yesterday.
Yeah. So good.
We also had a group of artists, including myself, who have donated a lot of materials. Well, I don't want to say materials, donated actual art to sell. And all of those proceeds are going to be split 3 ways in the next 2 months with the fellows to help replace art materials that paint melts and burns at low temperatures.
Sure.
And some of the clay, I think, was damaged, and the inks, so those liquid type things had some damage. So we have 2 artists from Maine who have donated. I've donated some photographs, some earrings, and I make handmade cards, and those have been donated. All the proceeds. I went in to speak to Susan Meeks at the finance department. I said, I want you to create an account especially for these items, so when they get processed through the city system, that they will be split up 3 ways at the end of each month for the fellows to be able to spend money to replace the materials they lost.
So people probably will ask, how can I help or what can I do? And the tangible is either buy these pieces of art that have been donated, or you can donate as well.
Yes,
right?
And you guys donated also
the
today.
Berea podcast.
The Berea podcast, yes. And Mr. Gastineau of his studio brought in 2 gorgeous, absolutely stunning, perfect in time for Derby Day, little bourbon pewter cups. And they're absolutely beautiful. Okay. And I'm very excited for that.
Well, any day is a day for bourbon.
Well, just my background, I have a lot of Mormon and Methodist and Baptist background behind me, and that's something I never really gone into, is drinking. I drink occasional beer, sometimes and some wine, but bourbon, I don't think I've ever tried bourbon, so I know.
What are you doing afterwards?
You're in Kentucky, right? And you gotta
I did try Berea or Boone Tavern's peach moonshine, and that was really good. But it was, I had a little sip of it from.
Now, was that back as a student or?
No, that was here now. It's a miracle that we have a little. What people are calling moist, but that's really nice because it's a lot of people have feelings about alcohol, but in the world that we live in now, some of these places require that element sometimes to be able to succeed financially, economically. Yeah.
So just a little bit about the 123 Gallery. So when shoppers shop, they're buying those fellows who are graduates of the college, and this is to help transition them into how you can make a living as an artist, right? Is that the purpose of the 123 Gallery?
It is one of the purposes. I'm also, they also go through Fast Track and the Air Institute to learn some more entrepreneurial, it's a big word for me, skills for them to rely on. And my goal is to show them how a real gallery is managed and run if they decide to have a brick and mortar store. They're also learning, in our environment today on how to sell on the internet, sell at the different websites, Etsy. I think there's craft cornucopia or something like that people can sign up on. So we're trying to give them all of the options. My firm belief is the more diverse you are as a person, the more successful you will be, not just professionally, but emotionally and personally. The more you expose yourself to diverse situations, or you learn a little of a lot of things, you can plug yourself and adjust yourself to the rapid changes that our societies and our economic situations are going through right now. And I had this belief back in the 80s, and my father thought I was crazy because when he was in the workforce, he was loyal to one company all his life. That's how you should be. And I'm like, Dad, I think it's changing. And this was back when I was in high school in the late 70s, early 80s. He goes, you should find a company and stay with it. They're going to give you insurance. They're going to give you pensions. They're going to give you this. And I said, Dad, that's changing. It's not like that anymore. He was fortunate, and I think he's probably the last generation to be fortunate to be able to work in an environment like that. That doesn't exist almost nowadays. Right. I don't know what the percentages are or anything, but before he passed, we had a conversation, and he was proud that I stood up to that with him because it made him realize what he was seeing with the economy as he got older and in his retirement years. My gosh, I think Jeff was on to something back, in those days when I was so adamant about him being part of one loyal company. So I hope to share that intuitiveness with these young people also.
So at the gallery, when people come in and they're shopping, these are works of art that the students have made as a part of this program, right? That's just usually what you're. So and then the proceeds from that, do the students get those proceeds as well?
They get 60%, and the city gets 40% to cover costs of utilities
rent and all that.
What it does, it prevents all of the tax monies that we collect. We're trying to give back to those, to replace those. So, and the more successful you are, the less tax monies will go to this program, and we can, hopefully, what my goal is, to sustain itself on its own.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping will happen.
Right.
But every month, the business office in the city goes through all the receipts and looks out which things were charged to which fellow, and make sure they're reimbursed properly for their sales.
So people can shop at the gallery, and that also supports the gallery.
Yes.
Right, and it supports the students.
It supports the
students. And they're closing up. These students are about ready to leave, right? They'll graduate from the program in June, and then you have a whole new group?
No, not in June. They didn't start till last August. So there are opportunities for them to stay through November.
Oh, okay.
But we are bringing 4 more people in July 1st.
I see.
So
it's not that these are leaving; it's that you're adding to.
We're adding to, and they'll start fresh from the beginning of the program and go through all those, management skills of running a gallery, how to hang a gallery, how to do a show, how to host an event, those types of things. They're also in the back. We have a huge back room where tourists and Berean citizens can go and watch them work, which is very, very important for us. Is that
still at the toll building? You still have a place like that there?
Yes, it's amazing.
Really? I'm surprised by that.
You have to come up and check it out because
I think we will. When we finish up, we'll walk up there because I knew here at the gallery here in Old Town there was all that workspace, and I thought that toll building is so beautiful. There won't be a space like that, but there is.
You won't believe it when you see it. Dwan has his own really nice gallery or a working studio setup.
And what's his medium?
He does oil paints, and he does some interesting, mostly figurative or portrait type paintings. They're amazing. A lot of people talk about them when they're going through the gallery.
Okay.
And then I'm into mid-century abstract arts, and he does a lot of those. And that's what I'm into right now. It's really huge. And so I enjoy looking at abstracts. And then Stephanie and Sarah. Sarah's a printmaker, and Stephanie, I should say their last names is Dwan Finney. Stephanie Runyon, she's a ceramicist, and she has her wheel back there, but through the generosity of Bobtown, Clarence of Bobtown, she gets to store her wet greenware and she also gets the use of the kiln there, which is a great relief. We were worried about that element moving into the toll building or moving into other buildings that we were looking at, was the fact that we needed to get her a place where she can produce, because her work is pretty popular. And so Clarence at Bobtown and Jackson Napier that I talked to have agreed to let her have the space and the use of the kiln. And they have like 3 electric kilns out there, so there's plenty of opportunity for her to work.
So she works off-site now? It's at the toll building?
She's working off-site. She has the Makers Market coming up this next weekend, everybody. That's a big deal. That's really
What date is that?
That's on the 12th.
Okay.
Yes. So she's doing that. So she wanted to make some things. And with that in mind, she needs that space. So we were worried about moving or even reopening without having the kiln and a wheel. But she does have a small electric wheel. And our plan is to move her out to the street with it.
Oh,
so
fun.
people can see when they're stuck in traffic or they're walking by, to see the potter sitting out in the sidewalk doing pottery, throwing pots on a wheel.
I think that'd be great during the summer. That's going to be awesome. Because there's so many people who come through Berea in the summer.
It's amazing.
And then Sarah, you were saying, is a
Sarah's a print maker, and she does a variety of things. She does prints. She works with plexiglass and inks. And then she does paper prints, and then she photographs sometimes what's happening on the plexiglass. And it's really, because abstract person that I am, I'm very drawn to her work. And she's got some exciting dynamic color combinations and circle prints and rectangular prints that would fit in any decor, or if you have a passion for abstracts, just it's there, and she has it. Then she does t-shirts.
Okay.
She's got a logo, and she does t-shirts, which are very, very well received.
Okay.
So
great. What about any of the new things? The new fellows coming in? Should we be?
Do they know yet? Do you know yet? So we don't want to let anything out yet. We don't want to get in trouble.
We don't know yet, because the night of the fire, we had 2 more people that were supposed to come, but we were outside worried about our kids and our neighbor and the neighborhood.
Right.
When I was watching from the Broadway Center, I thought the music building was on fire too, and I was just heartbroken. But because of the way your eye sees things and your brain looks at things and analyzes things, when I moved up, I realized there was so much space between those buildings, and the fire department had gotten there in order to prevent that from happening. Right. Thank goodness. So I was very relieved. But we had 2 more interviews we have to do this week before we go.
Okay.
To decide.
Okay.
I have my favorites now, but I want to wait to be fair with the other 2 interviewees. But I'm very excited, the caliber of applicants, because we've broadened our scope of pulling people in, not just from this area, but from other states that want to move here or have moved here.
Oh, so they don't have to just be graduates of Berea College then anymore.
No longer. No.
So is this the first year of that change?
This is the first year of that change, yes. And we're very excited about that. We have people that really passionately want to be here in Berea and start their lives here and be an economic force for Berea that outreach has gone. And
well, because here in Old Town, I think there has been some interest in bringing in artists who are at the beginning of their careers to make sure that you keep that long-term sustainability, because as people get older and they maybe retire, and you don't want to lose this dynamic part of Berea with all the working artists. So you do want the new artists who are coming in to keep it alive.
The new artists are bringing in new buyers and new appreciators of that art. They're peers. And that is so important in this art economy, is that the peers realize what's being produced, that they are having an emotional connection to, or a visual connection to. And I did a little lesson this morning with the fellow that was working with me, that it's so vital to keep your peers involved, to see your work, because years down the road in that sustainability thing, they're going to reconnect with the things that were produced by these people now. They're going to see, and since there'll be an emotional attachment stronger than maybe what they're happening today. Like when I was growing up, it was the art of the 50s that my grandparents exposed me to. And now I want that type of art now. I want, because of the emotional attachment and the memory connected to it. And I think that's a very important aspect of art that people don't realize too. And that's something I've associated with the Antiques Roadshow on PBS. I watch that and watch the trends, especially with the fine art. Now, mid-century art and furniture are the things that people are wanting. They're not wanting the old colonial stuff. They're not wanting more of the Amish things. They're wanting things, the chrome and the leather and the pleather and the colors and the abstract designs. That's what's hot right now. And it'll go back to the other things like it did in the 70s. That's in the late 70s, it went back to all the colonial stuff. We go up and down in I guess, pretty permanent wavelengths when it comes to art and antiques. So, but right now, that's what's generating the revenue for antique dealers, for art galleries, or things that are from that period, or things that sort of represent that period.
Super interesting. That is good. So, let's recap.
Okay.
Okay.
All
so
right.
you, Jeffrey Carpenter, are the new program manager at the 123 Accelerator here in Berea. How can they get in contact with you if someone wants to?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can give you my email address and I'll give you my personal phone number.
Well, how about just email address?
I'm very friendly.
Not that we have any stalkers who listen, but just in case.
That might excite my wife a little more. I don't know. But my email address is jeffrey@visitberea.com. Okay. And we just got a new phone number because the phone system wasn't working, and I don't have it in my head.
That's all right.
I'm seeing on a little piece of paper, pink paper that's beside the phone. I can see it almost all the digits. I know the first 6 digits, but the last 4 I'm not sure.
But Jeffrey, Jeffrey?
No, R-E-Y. Jeffrey, as the Southerners would say. Yes. Okay. Jeffrey Carpenter.
Okay.
I never thought about Jeffrey being spelled that way. That would be, it does, yes.
It's either Jeffrey or Jeffrey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so spell it again, one more time, the whole thing.
It's Jeffrey or Jeffrey, Jeffrey, @visitberea.com.
Okay. Great deal. So that's how to contact with you.
Yes.
There was a fire on the 30th. You were in place as of May 1. The way people can help is come to the toll building and buy some of the goods. If they want to buy some specific items that have been donated, they can do that, and that goes to help offset supplies that were lost in the fire.
And I need to mention 2 other things. Artist and Craftsman Supply, they have a location in Louisville, and they're giving clay, inks, and oil paints to our fellows. I just have to make a trip up there on Thursday to pick it up.
And what's their name again?
Artist and Craftsman Supply on 1001 Barrett Avenue in Louisville.
Okay.
They are also giving us a pretty large size gift card that's going to be split between the 3 of them to be able to go. And I'm taking a group up there on Thursday, and then the person has to stay back and want to take her up on another date to make sure she gets an opportunity. It's the best art supply store in the state of Kentucky. It's absolutely amazing. Wow. And also, I wanted to announce that we're having our grand opening gala on May 19th, which is a Saturday, and it'll be from 6 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
We're planning on having heavy hors d'oeuvres, light hors d'oeuvres, desserts, a musician to come in and play, or multiple musicians to come and play.
Wow.
And you'll be able to meet the artists there. And it should be a nice evening.
Where will it be? Will also
It'll
be
in the toll building,
okay,
yes.
which is a
So
beautiful
we want to
building.
show off that building. There's plenty of parking. You can reach the parking lot if you're coming up from the interstate. Right after the light across from Gold Star Chili, it's on the right. You can pull right in there and park, or you can get our driveway, which is right in front of the building, and then pull in go through a little. It's a little ritzy. You expect a valet person to come out and park your car, but we won't have that. Right. But it's right there, and there's another parking spot on the left side of the building too.
And should people buy tickets to the gala, or is it a silent auction?
No, it's going to be open. It's not being an auction. We're just
so it's not a fundraising event.
It's not a fundraising event. You just come in and enjoy the space and meet your fellow citizens and meet the artists that are there. And I'm hoping I've got a lot of things in place of doing a little fireman recognition and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I would love that. So I'm so glad you're doing that. They did do such a sweet job.
Yes,
I thought they were so sweet in that.
We should be very thankful. We should be very thankful for them. So, yes. And the mayor's been very supportive, which has been great. And so we'll see. I'm having a lot of surprises. I don't want to give everything away.
No, I didn't know that was happening. So that's a great announcement there.
We were going to have it this coming Saturday, but we want to get the old fellows in time to make sure they're planning on being there and having some of their work displayed and sold too. So, which I think is important to show the past and create the future. So that's one of the things. Is my planning is to have their presence in this gallery also at all times.
Excellent. Good deal. So May 19th is the next thing from 6 to 9,
6 to 9 p.m., yes.
At the Toll Building?
At the Toll Building, yes.
Very good.
And the Toll Building is on?
633 Chestnut Street. That's some information I can give you. I have that memorized.
Yay!
I don't remember the names of the streets. I'm like, that street there. What's that street there?
Good deal. Well, thank you so much for making yourself available to come in, and good luck with your future.
I'm very excited, and I also want to announce this too.
Oh gosh,
we're planning on having low-cost children's workshops beginning on Saturdays, probably the first week in June, but I'll make sure that everyone knows aware. I have a master's in education, and I was a teacher for many years, and I always did craft club after-school programs, and I've taught a couple workshops at the library, which I had a joy of doing. Mm-hmm. I did a jewelry making workshop and a Christmas card making workshop for kids there, and I had a blast doing that. And I was doing that every weekend at Michael's when the lead teacher couldn't be there. And that's part of me that I would miss terribly if I didn't incorporate that in. Children give me energy. Children give me hope. And I want to make sure they've got the opportunity, affordable opportunity, where they can come in and make something substantial for themselves or for others and to experience what art's about.
That's so wonderful.
Yes.
Well, as announcements are made and shared, we'll put it over on our webpage. It's just simply go to thebereapodcast.com/123.
Oh, great.
And that will be where all the information is, and we'll share some pictures there that you could share with us.
We also have a Facebook page, 123 Art Accelerator Gallery, also that I've been using. I'm now an administrator. Whoa. I haven't gotten that level on the website yet, but that'll happen.
But I'll have links to the website, the Facebook page, everything that we can be available. That could be
that would be great.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor to get this position, and I want to serve the Bereans the best I can. So that's my ultimate goal.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Well, thanks so much for listening, everybody. Until next week.
Bye.
Today is why I stay.